doing this stuff here. Okay. God, what was the point? Let's see. Something about keeping the elbow down as you do this. Petro, do you remember what I was just trying to point out to you? And, oh, yes. Okay. Because this wasn't something I'd felt the need to point out before, because most of you weren't doing it. But from this, you not only want to keep the elbow, well down below his arm, possibly even turned in a little bit, because that way as you're turning, that tends to float him up a little. See? It's taking him not just this way, but kind of there. So it affects his balance and creates space for you to move into. But also, look at the alignment of my arm versus my body here. Now, Russell, stay away. I mean, move away. Stay away. No, don't get me. Okay, but see how it is? Like this? Okay. Now, watch as I move through this. Because a couple of you are tending to let this happen. You get this part, it's good. Now look at the alignment. Step away again. I went from here to here. I've broken my own structural alignment here, my kamae, if you want to call it that. Okay, so that would make any number of sorts of reversals or counters possible for him if I did that, because I'm putting myself in a structurally weak position. So from this, stepping, okay, I still have that same position, that same alignment, then. And it's still like that. Okay? All right, just once or twice more, then we'll take another hydration break, and then we'll get to weapons stuff. Okay? Hanbo time. Yeah, that works.
It's still a bit. It was last night. So
sure, that's all right.
First job.
Let me borrow this to start off with. Okay. We're running short on time, so I'm just going to go through some of the most fundamental stuff with the hanbo. And on the sword, just some fundamentals on proper drawing and cutting, without really getting into techniques per se, because we're doing that on Thursdays anyway. And then last bit, we'll play with the short chain weapon, although, we'll use a rope, because that way the links don't bite in the same way. It doesn't do as much damage. All right. One of the most basic postures with the hanbo, or short staff, is Hirai Chimonji no Kamae. It's this, just like this. And part of that is, it's a neutral position. It doesn't really give anything away about what your intentions are or what your capabilities are. Okay. And one of the things that's unique to this approach, and it's common with the longer pole arms as well, the jo, bo, yari, naginata, is the use of a sliding grip on this thing. So rather than just stepping in to hit like this, or like this, I mean, you might do that if you're at really close range, but you can use this in a very deceptive way. Marius, if you would, just stand here, okay? So, you would think, if I'm holding it like this, and this is kind of the way police departments would teach you, you'd be hitting this way. See how close I have to be to him to do that? Okay? But if I do this, I get the same result, but...
Yeah, even if I go to the side, you
yeah.
hit the bridge.
So what I'm doing is, as I step, I'm just... Don't try to slide your hand to the end. Just let your movement naturally take it up. This is a giveaway here. Okay, it telegraphs what's going on. But if I'm just stepping this way, then...
Yeah, I'm watching that kind of thing.
Yeah. Boom. So just out this way, and he sees this, he's still thinking, yeah, he hasn't got the range. Okay? But from there, as you go on into this, it's sliding through here. So Okay? So everybody play with that movement a few times. Okay, we have that back here. Okay, and of course you can also take that in different directions, not just straight in this way, but if you want, you can come up with it, right? Come over, angling, you know, just all kinds of ways that you can do this, okay? Now, taking this into, you know, you don't just hit with, and of course you can also step in the same way here, right? And boom! Okay, so that sliding thing again, okay. All right, a couple of basic fundamental techniques, because this is not just a, oh, you might also sometimes want to do things like hitting, for instance, boom, right? You can slide the other way, or from this, where you end up actually using it a little more like a sword. Let's say you're punching at me, for example, just angling over. Bam, here. Okay. Just by now just flipping and changing the grip here. Okay, so those kinds of possibilities as well, again. All right, so a couple of very fundamental techniques. This one is called koshiori, which translates as breaking the hip. We use a fukuroshi knife for this one. We'll pretend this is a hanbo, not a sword, all right? So he comes in to punch, you angle away, here. Okay, just right in the lower ribs. Whammo! Sliding grip again, okay? Boom. And by the way, when you're doing this strike, be sure, when you're doing these, be sure you're doing it in a way where the palm of your hand is supporting it. In other words, if you're doing it like this, for instance, it's only supported by the thumb. That's very weak. Okay, it's got to be the palm here. So once again, comes into punch, we're here. Okay, then from here, taking the arm, starting to take his balance out this way, you just leave the stick where it is. And that's where it gets its name, breaking the hip, koshiori, because you leave it there, he falls across it and goes crunch, which also, his weight drops on that. Let your weight drop down. He's also pinned himself for a second there. So then you can. Okay, let's show that from the other side. Okay. So here, boom, right here, out this way. Not in this way, because you're going to eat a fist, all right? But here, this way. Okay, if you don't have a soft one of these, then as you take him over, go ahead and do what you guys always say you'll do with the ladies and you never do. And as he goes down, pull out at the last second here, okay? Okay, and just let him go. Okay, let's go ahead and play with this one for a minute. Okay, and then this next one, let's reverse positions here. The next one is called tsukeiri. And you could think of it, no, actually we do want to be around this way. Okay, I think it'll be a better camera angle. You can think of this as being like the mirror image view, the reverse view, the opposite side, opposite face of the coin kind of thing. So again, he comes in to punch, and this time you're angling out going this way. Okay, wham, again, taking the arm. So, and again, you got a pin there. Okay, once again. So here, boom. Whoops, I did the wrong one. Sorry, I was getting ready for this again. My bad. Same thing in the other direction. So here, whammo, here. Okay, and let's switch it around one time here. Okay, waboom. Okay, shifting back in, starting to take that. This is cookie shin, but again, a lot of this is based on that same kind of movement. Okay, so getting it into here, locking in. Don't try to crank it with your arms. Okay, once you've got everything connected here, just move your body over and around. Okay, go ahead. Keep moving here. If you haven't got it, don't worry, it'll be on the video. Okay, here's another. Let's do a couple of Kihon Happo techniques. Robert. So I'm going to start with this again. Robert's going to punch at me. Whoa, it's fading back. I'm not hitting him this time at first. Okay. Mushadori. Remember Mushadori? We did that, right? So I'm just angling out here. Whoa, kind of getting that in position. Then from here, got to keep the arm here so this will have something to move against. If I just try to do this, nothing happens. Okay, but I just move my body over in here. And again, the power is not coming where you think it's coming from. I'm not doing anything from here. This is a lever. It's a wonderful invention. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. Okay, so as I move in here and start pivoting, I'm going to just keep this here, and I'm simply going to pull this up as my body turns. See what happens there? Okay, play with it. Let me borrow this again. Okay. Here. So again, same kind of deal here. Whoa. Okay. Ah, it flopped on me. Yeah. Not going to lose it this time. It's going to. So again, I'm just fading. I'm not hitting it. I'm just fading into this position.
My least favorite cookie.
Yeah. Locking in. So it's ganseki nage. I mean, think of just moving out to here. That's all I'm doing. But by using this, especially if I want to hit first, but you can just bring it here, okay? So it's locked in here. And then don't try to do it with your arms like this, okay? But as you're moving into this position, just let this drop in against your hip here. Because now, when I have that locked there, I really don't even need this anymore. Again, it's this thing called a lever, okay? So I can just, from here, just step in. It stays connected. Again, you notice I was pulling this side back. It was not pushing this one forward. Okay, try it out a few times. Okay, let's see. Robert. So this time, instead of hauling off to punch you, since you've already just, dislocated his hip and smashed him down on his face and wrenched his shoulder out of the socket and all this other stuff, he's starting to realize, hey, there's something about this position that, if I try to punch him, he's going to do something nasty to me, So he comes in and grabs your wrists to immobilize you and keep, so that you can't do one of these nasty things, right? Except that you can, okay? And watch, this is not about arms. Okay? Do that from the other side here. Just by how I move my body. Okay? Notice how the hands are basically at the front of my thighs. As I move, they still are. That orientation hasn't changed. Okay? Okay, once again. So I'm not having to string it on like this to try to do it. No, I just move over here. Boom. Okay, one more time. So it can be very relaxed. You know, he grabs you hard, but you can just okay, out to here. I can also, of course, now just slide. Okay, let go with one hand, hit. All right. But anyway, just sliding to this position, let it come up here. Again, don't try to do it with your arms. This is just like when we did Mushadori before. Just let it be there and let it extend, and you turn yourself around it. And then I'm dropping him back out here. Okay, try it out a couple times. This is going to be the last one we'll do with the hanbo. How the weapon techniques in the taijutsu are congruent with each other. Let's say he's doing the same thing just to immobilize me so one of his buddies can run up and get me or something. You know, I don't have the hanbo this time, right? Same movement. Okay, I'm also crushing his neck with my shin. Okay, same thing from this side. We went from that side, right? Now I'm just over there. You're okay, so yeah. So same deal. Again, just let the hands stay here. When you get here, just let this drift up over. Kind of like when we're doing the formal basic version of Mushadori. Okay. Down for the camera so we can see. Same stuff. All right. Okay. We need to move on to the sword. So if you don't have a bokken, you can use the hanbo for most of this, but I just want to quickly cover not sword techniques per se, but mainly just a couple fundamentals on drawing and cutting. And it's nice if you can get something like this, or just get a golf tube you can use as a saya or something like this. This is actually cast molded plastic that's made for this bokken. So it's shaped properly. It's got everything on it it's supposed to. So it's a good cheap way to get something you can practice drawing with. But it ain't like this. It's not how you draw a sword. I probably just ruined my scabbard, most likely lost a finger or two as well, at the very least. Okay, so what you want to do is, first of all, you don't haul it out like that. You push it out. That's the first part of the movement. And it's one thing a lot of people just really have trouble getting. They want to do this. So it's pulling. When you do that, what happens is the pressure on the handle is actually coming like from the edge of your hand here, this way. It's coming, and in other words, it's wanting to do this. And what that does is, guess what? Since it's worn edge up, what do you suppose that's doing as you're trying to pull it out? When you're holding this. Okay. So what you want to do is, instead of this pulling, or yeah, this kind of pulling, it's pushing this way. Which means that the pressure is going from this side, this edge of your hand, which is pushing the mune, or the spine of the blade, down instead of pulling the edge up. It pushes it down. So it slides nicely out. Now, you notice another problem here. Okay? So that's the next thing. Is that first, in other words, you don't just push it out. Your arm might not be long enough. So you have to go buy a shorter sword. If you're going to use that, if you're going to use that kind of a technique, but that's not what is recommended. So what you want to do is, again, you want to be pushing. And this also starts after you pop the seal on the scabbard. It actually starts by bringing the scabbard out part way. Yes. So you bring the scabbard part way out initially, and then as you're pushing this on out, the completion of the movement is you're not just pulling the scabbard back. That alone is not going to be enough. That kind of just leaves you right where you were. If all you're doing is going out here and you're pulling the scabbard back. Yeah, but I pulled the scabbard back. Okay. Well, you do pull the scabbard back, but you also pull the hip back. That's what lets you clear it. Okay. I'm not going to be formal about the noto here, the replacement here. I'm more concerned about the draw than the noto. All right. If you can worry about the proper finish and replacement of the scabbard later. First, you have to know how to get it out without cutting yourself, so you can kill the other guy, and then you can put it back any old way you want to. Okay. He's not going to tell anybody about how screwed up it was, because he's dead. So anyway, starting by bringing this forward, okay, and then as you're pushing it on forward from here, you're pulling the scabbard back, and that pulling the scabbard back also feeds into what's called sayabiki. That's the pulling of the scabbard, but it also is involved with this motion of pulling the hip itself back. Okay. I'm exaggerating it there, but that's what it is. Okay. So this kind of here. All right. So rather than just have you spend a lot of time practicing that right now, we'll just do something where this is going to depend on you being able to do that. Okay. So what we'll do, let's see here. Patrick. Okay. So what I'm going to do, let's go across here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to threateningly prepare to draw my sword. Okay. And upon noting that, yeah, he's going to just move in and go, no, you don't. Okay, so he's going to, I mean, you can do it right at the wrist if you want, but so he's basically, the idea is he's going to stop me. Okay, and now I'm like, okay. So what I'm going to do at that point, okay, more slowly with the leg action here. So I'm drawing this back, okay. But that, again, that's not going to be enough. Still can't get him. So I've got to move my body, move the hip out of the way. So this is a way of, this is really exaggerating the movement, but it's a way of making sure that you can do that. Okay. Then I'm also turning the scabbard at that point so I can cut across. Okay, again, so we're here. Like, okay, so play with that movement just a few times. Now, just a couple things to do with cutting real quick, and I'm not talking about, how to hold it properly for tameshigiri so that the blade doesn't wobble off track and all that. We can get into that later if you want to do test cutting, okay? But in terms of stepping in to cut, let's say that I'm coming from Daijodan no Kamae here, right? Well, actually, I'm not going to get too much into the movement dynamics, partly because different schools approach it differently. I mean, Kukishinryu, it's a little different. Same as with their basic ski or punch. There's actually, the punch actually kind of floats out there as your body's moving before it's even come down. It's a similar kind of thing with the sword. As you're stepping, that's already flung forward, and the body movement and weight is following through into the cut. Other schools will use it a little differently. I mean, Kukishinryu also has a different basic grip on the sword. A lot of schools will grip primarily with the last fingers here. Okay, and in fact you'll often see them do this, which is not a good practice. But a lot of schools lose sight of the fact that this is not a bad way to teach how to get that grip without depending too much on this. But then they just start doing it that way all the time and create all kinds of vulnerabilities. Kukishin doesn't use that grip. It grips primarily here. So I'm not going to get into all the complexities and reasons for all that. But just something to think about in terms of cutting. You can practically let the weight of the sword do the cutting as you step. The role of the left hand here is extremely important. I mean, the lead hand functions kind of as a lever and pivot point for it to move around. But it's the left hand that's primarily responsible for guiding and controlling direction with it. So if, for instance, Robert, just stand up here and be a target for me for a minute. Okay, so let's say I want to come in and just split his skull, right? So I'm here, boom. And this is as far as I'm going, by the way. You don't want to be going, all right. So if I'm going to hit him here, I'm going to aim for about here. Okay. So this, right? Okay, well again, think, you know, it's easy to see, lever, fulcrum, right? If I want to change that to a kesagiri, so it's going diagonally here, it is exactly, or going the other direction. Okay. It's the same movement. I'm just letting this drop in a vertical plane. Okay. But the left hand is what is, that's what's changing the stroke. So in other words, if I'm going to do a kesagiri, I'm not going to go change the angle and give everything away like that. It's kind of like this thing I was talking about earlier from the Suinawaza, where you're striking up, coming in this way, right? It's going to be the same, whether you're hitting here, or you're punching straight in. Okay, same deal. This is just coming down vertically. What changes it is what's happening with the left hand here. Okay? Now, again, we're not going to take a lot of time to play with that. We don't have the time, but that's just something that I wanted to make you aware of about it. Okay? Likewise with borrow Jen's bokan there. There are some other things with certain kinds of ukemi or blocking or redirection, deflection and stuff with the sword. Let's say that I'm in Geiran no Kamai and he's going to come in and cut me down and I'm doing this kind of a thing. Okay? All right. People without understanding what's going on will typically try to do this. Watch what happens to the point of my sword. See how it flips up and over and around? See that big movement there? Okay. Now, actually, this time I don't even need an attack, but I'm just going to step in. Watch the point of the sword. For what I just did, it was doing this. It's going from down there, way around over here. That's too slow and it's too big a movement of everything that's going on up here. And it gives him a chance to see what's happening and adjust to it or get in before you're all the way up there. Okay? So it's not that, but again, watch where the point is. The point, yeah, it changes the direction that it's pointing in, but the point remains pointed down throughout the whole thing. So now attack again. Okay, so I want this kind of position with it, and then I can, of course, get in there and do all kinds of other stuff. But that's a more efficient thing. And so it's more like I'm taking it here, and then everything is just pushing up with this kind of alignment. Okay. Okay, that's as far as I want to get with the sword right now. Let's take a minute and cut up some rope, and we'll do some kusari fundo stuff. Yeah. Okay, we're ready. We've got all the rope cut up. If you're watching the video, you'd think we did this, but no, we didn't. There were a bunch of them lying around the dojo. Okay, so we didn't have to cut up a lot of rope. this is one way of holding the kusari fundo. Now again, think of this as fairly small links of chain with iron or steel weights on the end that also serve as little handles. Okay. This is one way of holding it. Again, kind of neutral. Another, now you actually would just let the chain all just into your hand, but a way of getting the same effect is just take it in little bends like this, so that you can hide it here. And this is called Goho no Kamae. By the way, the kusari fundo is not a weapon that is specific to any of the 9 ryuha of the Bujinkan, to the best of my knowledge. But Hatsumi Sensei, before meeting Takamatsu, did spend time studying the Manriki Kusari or Kusari Fundo with Yumi Onawa, and who's another Kobudo teacher in Japan, who teaches, I don't know if he still teaches, he is still alive, teaches Masaki Ryu, which is specifically a chain system. And so he simply incorporated, taijutsu methods, added it to this. I mean, any good martial arts system can do that. I was training once, years and years ago, with Don Anjay, the Soke of Yanagi-ryu Aikijujutsu, and asked him if he had kusari techniques in his system. And he says, no, not per se, but I could probably do something with that. I said, okay, what would you do with that? And I mean, this wasn't in the context of a formal seminar. It was like 5 of us flew him up for the weekend, and he's crashing in one of our friends' houses just for the price of a plane ticket and getting fed over the weekend. And we're just hanging out and talking and training and stuff. And so anyway, he takes it, and he has one of my friends start attacking him all kinds of ways, and he just starts doing all kinds of stuff with it, and damn if it doesn't look just like the kind of things we do. So, and we do have a number of longer flexible weapons that are specific to some of the Bujinkan ryuha as such. It's just that I don't know that we have any, in a formal sense, that are shorter flexible weapons. Okay, so anyway, from Goho no Kamae. One way of striking with this is to simply extend like you're punching, and you just continue to hold it with the little fingers here on the smaller weight, this way. Okay, so that, Robert, let's say you're punching at me. So just, okay, popped him right on his little noggin. Do be careful, especially on some of the swinging strikes on this. This is nothing but soft rope. I saw Hatsumi Sensei knock one of the Japanese Shihan out with one of these ones. Just right on the temple. He was out. Okay, so that's one thing. You can also, another approach to this, punching again, that way. Okay, so it's coming, but rather than having to have it out here swinging it around, which you can also do if you want, nothing wrong with that, right? But you can use these swinging type strikes also from this kind of position or from concealment here. This kind of, that. Now notice as I'm moving, for the swinging strikes, my body continues to move after the strike. In other words, I'm not trying to go, see what happened there? It happens even more when it's an actual chain. It hits and tends to pop back. Try this on some friendly neighborhood tree sometime, or a light pole or something like that. If you want to be environmentally friendly, use a light pole or something. It's already dead. And you'll very quickly find what the dynamics of this thing need to be. Okay, so if I'm doing that strike, see how I keep moving? Or just Metsubushi. Just something to distract him while I move out of the way. Not trying to hit him at all. Okay. Now, holding it in this position, again, think of one of the weights, handles, things protruding there, another here. It's also really good. Remember Gyokoryu's Ichimonji no Kamae? So, okay, boom. These kinds of things. Hitting, digging into nerves and things. Okay. It's even better than a handful of keys. All right. And then also, of course, from this position, it also lets you do things like, so I wasn't initially starting by holding on to the ends. We're just, but as I'm moving, I'm taking the end. Same dynamics here as drawing a sword and hitting him with the kashira. Okay. I said it'd be the same. That'd be the same dynamics as drawing a sword and hitting him with the kashira on the sword. Okay. Just use that as a shield there. I came in, boom, elbow. Start at the lawnmower. Think of those chain leads biting in. So we're not going to play a lot with the strikes and stuff on this, but we'll do a few of the maybe grappling or striking to grappling transitions. Okay, just due to time constraints. So just just making a shield. Okay, continuing on in. See what I'm doing with my foot. Again, don't think of this as trying to do strikes. You're just here, just moving your body in. Oh, that just kind of happens to go there. And then you kind of just sloppily just sort of happen to go on past him over here, right? Which don't. Okay, one more time. I was here. Yeah, well, I'll start from here. Whoa, boom. You're just letting it here. I mean, this could, again, this isn't 100% committed to anything. It could turn into something like this. It can turn into hitting here, starting to tie that hand up. Okay, digging in with the weights there. It's just, again, moving to one of those spots where you have a lot of options. Okay, so just whoop, shield, boom, let this come across. And now I'm just going to turn out and around. Okay. Okay, play with that one a couple times. Oh, yes. Okay, switch positions here. Okay, so it comes in for a punch, just in. Just kind of come on. It'd be just like doing an urashuto here. Okay, wham, but I'm starting from this concealed position. So hit, bam, then just moving. Okay. Boom. Okay, now as I move, I'm not doing anything that he can really identify. I'm just moving. If he felt me like I'm going for an armbar, he'd resist. But, whammo, and I'm just moving. Okay, you can go either way with it. Okay. Again. Boom. Okay. And it really can go either direction. Again. Wham. Okay. Just coming in, keeping myself covered here. Same position. Okay. And then as I move in, just get to a point where I can just, because I know I'm okay there, I can just quietly shift there. Okay. And lo and behold, it's just created an arm bar. Okay. Yeah, with a rope. just by pulling here, extending here. Okay, but again, from this, you've got options with this, because just by changing the direction with it, you can also see if it gets some slack, he starts getting loose or something. You know, oh, okay, well, fine, we can like take it into take it into an onikudaki or mushadori, any number of things. Okay, so just kind of play with this feeling a little bit. Boom here. Okay, go ahead. Technique, but we'll do it with a chain. Okay. Remember what I did a little earlier was almost like drawing a sword? Okay, it can be a sword technique too, but it's actually a hanbo technique. I'm going to be coming inside the strike. This position. All right. Again. Entering inside the strike. Whammo! Okay. And then from here, just again, continuing to move across here, right? So, don't try to do it with your arms. Position yourself with your body. Then, okay. So, boom, boom. So I've already, again, I can use that to control him, keep him off balance, and then the point where I'm actually ready to go ahead with this. Again, this side is pulling back while this side is extending. Okay, try it out. Robert. So it's got both lapels here. Assuming I have, you know, imagine I've got my gi jacket on or I'm wearing a heavy jacket or something like that. From this, doesn't see this, right? So I'm coming from the rear. This actually is Chino-waza Sanchin movement, except it's coming in a different plane. Instead of a vertical plane, it's okay. And again, imagine the metal weights on this, right? Boom here. You end up doing essentially the same kind of thing. So again. I'm going around the force. I'm not trying to oppose it. I'm not trying to pull back. I move in around it this way. Boom. Then I just bring my hands in here so that I can take the other end of this. Okay. From that point. It's real simple, not dramatic. It just works nicely, okay? I mean, you know, you can do a version of this while still just continuing to hold this without tying him up with the rope. You just, okay. So it's really all about the body movement, but it's here, boom. See, it's my body that's maneuvering him around. It's not, I'm not depending on the chain. But then once I've got that there, you know, now I can go ahead and, okay, play with that feeling a minute. We'll finish out with that. We're not going to do this, but I just wanted to show it to you. See, there's a principle in our whole conceptual art of being able to use weapons in unexpected ways. So using flexible weapons as though they're rigid, or rigid weapons as though they're flexible. Okay, and here's another example of that. You know, I showed a minute ago. I did something with a chain that showed. Well, actually, it's originally a hanbo technique, but you can do it with something flexible too. Same thing with this thing we're just doing. Again, I'm holding my hanbo here, and he just grabs me by the lapels. Same kind of thing. Boom. You know, just letting it drop around and whammo, and then from that point. Boom, letting it drop in here. It's the same thing, same movement. And you saw that I also did the same thing empty-handed too. It's all the same. The weapon stuff really is just a natural extension of the taijutsu. Okay, so this is as far as we're going to go today, but before we totally close out, does anybody have any comments or questions or observations on today's stuff?
So much to work on. Yes, especially I saw it so many times, but finally I understood something more. So it's interesting. Like, you can do the homework every day and basically try to figure out.
Yeah, the tactical stuff I brought in is, a lot of the stuff I consider to be important, but at the same time, I'm trying to help you see the commonality in the movement and the movement concepts and principles from all these things. How this one movement from the Sanchin comes into the Kihon Happo, which comes into various other things. And, you need the tactics, you need the use of space, but you also need to get that fundamental movement down. Because if you're not doing the movements correctly, it's not going to shape the space the way that you're trying to do it. Okay. So, but again, just the stuff I showed you from the Sanchin no Kata today, there's a whole lot that you can do with that in terms of homework on your own without even having to have a partner. Probably one of the single biggest things that you can do is that thing with the limp obi here. Just boom. Because it's a type of movement that is not only for this, it comes into the whole Uran no Mochigaku thing, Ganseki Nage. All these movements they're really fundamental, even though they're not always applied in exactly the same way, but they're types of movement that are really fundamental in the sense of underlying bedrock, for everything else in the Bujinkan. So let's go ahead and bow out. Shiki Narumi Tsurai Komyo. Good training, everybody. Thank you for coming today.